And I don't wear my panties for evil. So that was cutting me in two. They just got to be too little. So I bought somas. Anybody here giving up like I have? Anybody here wearing somas? No? Let me tell you about somas. They're the best thing that's ever happened. Okay, because they've got a whole line of nightgowns and underwear and all this stuff that's called cool nights. Because it pulls moisture away from you in the night. Yay. To keep you from having a stroke. Because you're going through the change and you're sweating. Dr. Oz, are y'all with me? So, it has a dry fit technology in it. So you boys could play golf in them. I'm not kidding. They're not pretty, but anyway, that's what I wear. Let me tell you a little bit about my husband. My husband is very smart and very quiet and an introvert and does very well and then married me. And we've been exactly the opposite, but it has worked. He's a big man. He's 6'4". He can kick a door in, and I like that. He works like a dog, and he loves a baby. Let me tell y'all that he is a baby cuddler at East Tennessee Children's Hospital. He cuddles the drug-dependent babies every week of the world as a volunteer. I know, sweet. He didn't help me with mine. But because he was out making a living and paying for all this. We've got 2 still in college, and I wanted a 4th baby so bad when my baby child went to kindergarten. I nearly grieved myself to death. I thought, Lord, what am I going to do with all this time on my hands? I hope I don't get hooked on whiskey and start honky-tonking. And about 3 weeks into her going to kindergarten, I was like, woohoo! Woohoo! Now I can go get a pap smear without somebody sitting on my head. But my husband, when I dropped her off, he said, meet me at the IHOP. Because he knows that pancakes get me through a hard time. And I was crying, and I said, I want another baby. And he said, why don't you get a job? Yeah, right. So I said, I want a 4th baby. And he said, y'all are sucking the financial life out of me. So he bought me a dachshund. I had that dachshund for years. She's gone now. But let me tell you, she and I both got thyroid issues. She had cushions. I was walking her in our neighborhood one day, and a little girl came out in her driveway, and she said, can I pet your groundhog? Oh, y'all. So about my husband. All right, so my husband is a big man and is 6'4". I'm 5'8". We breed big kids. And we wanted them to be in sports and when they were growing up, and so we made them do all kinds of mess they didn't want to do. And we put our boy, when he was little bitty, we put him in T-ball. He hated it. I don't know if any of y'all have had a baby play T-ball, but for those of you who don't know, T-ball season, it's about 110 degrees outside. It's little children that are 4 look like they've got a diaper on under their baseball pants or a pull-up. The games last about 3 hours. Nobody ever hits the ball, throws the ball, catches the ball, makes contact with the ball. My baby laid in a fetal position in the outfield the entire season. He never touched a ball. Every once in a while, he'd pop his little head up and say, water. One game, it was so hot, and I told the middle one to go out and take her brother a water bottle. She was about 2.5. And she went walking out there with a tutu and a crown and a wand and her pink prostitute shoes from Walmart. She walked about halfway, stopped, got a glazed look over her eyes, pulled her little panties to the side, and pooped in the T-ball field. She really did. So I had to run out there and get a stick and flick it into the woods because I didn't want another child to step in it or think it was a milk dud. He would not play sports for several years because of that trauma. And then ended up playing football and cross country and a bunch of stuff, and still he likes to mountain bike and hike and do scary things, but he likes to come, out west to do it. And he's a fly fisherman. Can y'all tell I'm in love with him? Okay. All right, about the sports. I played sports. I wanted them to play sports too. I know y'all are thinking, you sissy thing, you did not. But I played basketball. Thank you. I need that. It was the early 80s when I played, and I had really big hair. I used to hot roll my hair to play ball. We all did. Okay. So, and I am from such a little bitty farming community, and it's 500 people in Middle Tennessee, and we didn't know what waterproof mascara was. So by the end of my games, I looked like, say, if Tammy Wynette and Alice Cooper had a child together. I was a forward. Sometimes I had to be the center if Mary Dallin had to take her baby to the health department. My husband is very smart, does very well. We are sucking the life out of him. He is a nice-looking man, but he has a receding hairline, and he hates it. I think it's handsome, but he hates it. So I said, why don't I take you to my hairdresser, and we'll get her to buzz you one of those haircuts real close to your head, like Justin Timberlake. You know what I mean? Like real close to the head. Well, we did it, and we didn't know his head was pointed. And he said, I look like somebody, and I can't quite think of who it is. And I said, is it Bull on Night Court? He said, no, that's not who I was thinking about. About 3 days later, he said, I know who it is. It's that lazy starfish Patrick on SpongeBob SquarePants. I got to get a thing of water, honey. I'm spitting cotton. Oh, y'all. I'm so much more, way more than I have. And since I had a baby in the hospital, I probably weigh about the same that I had a baby in the hospital. And back then, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what in the world's happened to me? And I had my class reunion right after I had my first baby, and I wore a big jumper, and I was nursing. And I remember, drinking a Diet Coke, and my breast milk shot out the front of my dress. And then one of my friends from high school said, when are you going to have your baby? And I was like, I've had my baby. But anyway, I feel fat, and it's my hormones. I have no testosterone. I went to the doctor. I had no testosterone, no progesterone. I have way too much estrogen, which evidently makes you bitter and angry and hateful. That's what my family says. I think they're bitter and hateful and angry. But it has messed up my weight and all that. Well, that, and I've been eating white flour. But I have been on every diet in the world. I've done everything. I've done Whole30. I've done South Beach. I have done Weight Watchers. All right, I praise God that Weight Watchers doesn't have a limit on how many times you can join. Because I have joined Weight Watchers 9 times and lost 7 pounds in all. Come to find out, you have to follow a program. I know that, but I go because the meetings are funny, and it's like going to a comedy club. It really is. It's like AA, but it's for people who eat their emotions, and that's who I am. I eat my emotions. Like my husband would come home, and the kids would be fighting, and he'd say something like, "What have you done all day?" And I'd eat a hot dog, and I don't even know where it came from. Well, I had to keep from drinking whiskey. I didn't want to get hooked on whiskey with little children. So I joined Weight Watchers so many times, and this last time, Oprah bought it. And they had Oprah on TV, and she was twirling pasta on a fork and running through tall grass. And I thought, well, if she can do it, I can do it. No. So, no, turns out, no, for the 9th time. But what the deal is they give you a point value on food. So, fruits and vegetables are free. You don't care, really. And like a piece of beef that's the size of a credit card. It's like 5 points or something like that. You don't want any of that. You're so hungry when you start that you could eat the wallpaper off the walls. You want a Snickers bar, but they're like 12 points. My sister goes on it every time I do, and she'll call me and she'll say, "It's noon and I've eaten all my points." Oh, y'all, I've done every kind of exercise in the world. And when I was y'all age, I was so gung-ho. And I wanted to go and do, and I wanted to be firm and tone. And then one day I just said, I don't care. And that's a good feeling too. But when I was y'all's age, I was big into CrossFit. Do y'all have CrossFit here? Ooh, I hope y'all don't end up in a boot. All right. It is bad mamma jamma. And it came to Knoxville, and these young boys in their early 20s opened it up, and they were darling. And they both had little fannies that looked like baseballs. And I wanted my fanny to look like a baseball. So I got my good friend Becky. Becky and I joined CrossFit together. For those of you who don't know, it's like military moves, push-ups, pull-ups, that kind of thing. They'd put a big tractor tire in the parking lot, and they'd set Becky in it, and I'd pull her across the parking lot while she held her purse. Well, these boys came to us one day, and they said, "Hey, we're going to have a contest, and whoever wins it gets 3 months of free training." And it's going to be for the women and for the men. It's going to last 10 weeks. We're going to take your before and after picture, and then the whole gym's going to vote on whose body has changed the most. And we were like, yes. So one day, we show up, didn't know it was picture day. I had on a horrible-looking sports bra that had lost all of its support, and I should have bizzed it the night before. It had a gray tint to it, and it really wasn't gray. It was white. And if I'd have known it was going to be picture day, I'd have gotten a spray tan. But anyway, they said, take your top off to me and Becky, and they go, just leave on your sports bra and your spandex, and we're going to take your picture. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And I didn't want those little boys to not ever want to marry and have children. So I said, Becky, me and you, we're going in the back. I said, I'm taking Becky's picture and she'll take mine. So we went in the back room, and Becky went. And I said, what are you doing, Becky? Don't you want to win this thing? I want to win it. So I took my spandex and shoved. Years ago, when it first came to Knoxville, I was traveling with Paula Dean. And she had these bodyguards that looked like movie stars. And I said, what do y'all do? And they said, CrossFit. And I said, well, I want to do it. Well, me and my friend, Church of God, Becky. Church of God, Becky and I joined the CrossFit in Knoxville. The CrossFit was run at the time by these little children. They were in their early 20s, and they were beautiful. And they looked like movie stars, and their little fannies looked like baseballs. And I wanted my fanny to look like a baseball. So I made Church of God Becky join, and she'll do whatever I say. So anyway, and I call her Church of God Becky because she was raised Church of God, so sweet, sheltered. Like I have to explain things to her. Things like camel toe. So we first get to the CrossFit. And if y'all don't know what CrossFit is, it's military moves like push-ups, pull-ups, burpees. I hate a burpee. Okay, all these things, they would put like a tractor tire in the parking lot, and they'd set little Becky in it, and I would pull Becky across the parking lot as she was holding her purse. So I felt like a bad mama jamma, and I was so tickled and into it. And they came to us one day and they go, we want y'all to be in our contest. It's called a paleo contest. And it's going to be 10 weeks long. The men are going to be against each other and the women, and we're going to take your before and after picture, and whoever's body has changed the most at the end will win 3 months of free training. And I wanted to win that 3 months of free training because I didn't want to have to do something vulgar to my husband for the money. So we're going along, and one day they just pop up and go, okay, it's picture day. We're like, what? And they said, okay, take your top off and leave your exercise bra on and your spandex, your yoga pant, and we're going to take your picture. Well, I didn't want those young boys to not ever want to marry and have children. So I said, Becky and I are going to the back, and I needed to biz my bra so bad. It had no support to it, and it was a gray looking, it was white, but I needed to biz it overnight. I did not know. Anyway, we go back to the office, and I'm going to take Becky's picture, and she's going to take mine. And Becky went. And I said, what are you doing, Becky? Do you want to win this thing? I want to win it. So I took my spandex and shoved it under my stomach and went. That picture is on the internet. Let me tell y'all about her. I have treated her different from all the other ones, honey, because, all right, everything that she'd do, like she'd start crying when she's a baby, because babies, you know, the third, fourth, and fifth, you know, they cry, and you just let them. And I'd be like, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I remember saying one time, you want those knives to play with? Okay. What? Okay. When she was getting her driver's license, so different from when the first one got his. Honey, he got his, and we were so strict with him. We'd say, you can go to school, but you got to call us when you get there. You can only come home. And then after 6 months, we were like, you can go to Steak and Shake. And then you got to come home. So strict. Then the second one didn't care anything about driving, really didn't start till she was close to 17. Well, this baby wanted hers the day she turned 16. I didn't think she was going to pass it because she doesn't care. So, but she did because she's smart. All right, let me tell you, she's one of those kids that, I know y'all know people like this. Like if I gave her $20 and said, make it to New York tonight, she would do it and have money left over. Like she's, you know, people like that, like got it up. Okay. So she passed that test. I was so mad because I thought, oh, I'm not going to have a baby in the car with me anymore, even though when they're in middle school and high school, isn't that aggravating? When they turn that radio up and it's blasting and I don't like that song and booming and a-doing. And then I'm trying to drive and I feel like when I can't hear, I can't see. Oh, I don't know. It's awful. But she went and got that darn driver's license, and this is how different it was raising her from the first one and the second one. She got that driver's license. My husband and I were sitting there at night, and he said, "Where is she?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Does she have any money?" And I said, "I don't know." Nobody ever said another word. I'm in love with my girls. I'm in love with them, and they're my best friends, especially as they get older. And I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. But he has been from heaven. Okay, it's so wonderful. All right, well, he got married in September, and when he started bringing his wife around us, he would say to me, "You have a terrible look on your forehead." And I would say, "What? I don't know what you're talking about." But he said, "Mom, she's my best friend, and I want to marry her." They met in college at Berry College. And he said, "She's going to be my wife." And so I tried to, it wasn't anything against her. It was anybody that was going to come in and take my boy, because he's the best thing that's ever, all right, he's like the best of their daddy. He's like everything their daddy can't be. Does that make sense? So right before the wedding, he said, "Mom, she is my immediate family now. You're my extended. I'm supposed to cleave to my wife. That's biblical." And I said, "Why did I show him the Bible?" But they had a beautiful wedding, and really, when I got in there and the Holy Spirit was there, and God was in it, and I knew they were supposed to be together, and I love her. I mean, I love her. She's like another daughter to me now. And but I was freaked out. But everything is okay now. And then I got to thinking, how psycho am I that I want to keep him forever and have him live in the basement and be a weirdo? You know, that's twisted. So I was able to let him go. And I love her. She's like another child. Years ago, when it first came to Knoxville, I was traveling with Paula Dean. And she had these bodyguards that looked like movie stars. And I said, "What do y'all do?" And they said, "CrossFit." And I said, "Well, I want to do it." Well, me and my friend, Church of God, Becky, Church of God, Becky and I joined the CrossFit in Knoxville. The CrossFit was run at the time by these little children. They were in their early 20s, and they were beautiful. And they looked like movie stars, and their little fannies looked like baseballs. And I wanted my fanny to look like a baseball. So I made Church of God Becky join, and she'll do whatever I say. So anyway, and I call her Church of God Becky because she was raised Church of God, so sweet, sheltered. Like I have to explain things to her. Things like camel toe. So we first get to the CrossFit. And if y'all don't know what CrossFit is, it's military moves like push-ups, pull-ups, burpees. I hate a burpee. Okay, all these things, they would put like a tractor tire in the parking lot, and they'd set little Becky in it, and I would pull Becky across the parking lot as she was holding her purse. So I felt like a bad mama jamma, and I was so tickled and into it. And they came to us one day and they go, we want y'all to be in our contest. It's called a paleo contest. And it's going to be 10 weeks long. The men are going to be against each other and the women, and we're going to take your before and after picture, and whoever's body has changed the most at the end will win 3 months of free training. And I wanted to win that 3 months of free training because I didn't want to have to do something vulgar to my husband for the money. So we're going along, and one day they just pop up and go, okay, it's picture day. We're like, what? And they said, okay, take your top off and leave your exercise bra on and your spandex, your yoga pant, and we're going to take your picture. Well, I didn't want those young boys to not ever want to marry and have children. So I said, Becky and I are going to the back, and I needed to biz my bra so bad. It had no support to it, and it was a gray looking, it was white, but I needed to biz it overnight. I did not know. Anyway, we go back to the office, and I'm going to take Becky's picture, and she's going to take mine. And Becky went. And I said, what are you doing, Becky? Do you want to win this thing? I want to win it. So I took my spandex and shoved it under my stomach and went. That picture is on the internet.